Hello, this is Garrett Keane, continuing the series of exercises in Visual Basic for applications. And what we're going to look at today is how we can actually use Visual Basic for applications to program user-defined functions. The first one we're going to do is this function here, which is z is equal to x squared minus y squared. Now when you actually plot this, you put in different values for x, so we have a range of values here. Minus 4 going to plus 4 in steps of 2. And y also goes from minus 4 to plus 4 in steps of 2. When we plug in those sets of values for x and y, we should fill up this area here with different values for z, and that when you actually plot that, as we'll see, you get a shape that's shaped like a saddle. So it's known as the saddle function. So what we will do is go into Visual Basic. If I come here to Developer, Visual Basic, you can see here that you need to set up a module. Now I already have one here. If I delete this one, I don't need to save it, and then I say I'm looking for a module, I can come in here and say insert module. So it's insert module if you need it. Then what I can do is then start writing the name of the function. So I'll call it saddle function, like so, and I need to spell it correctly. And I take two parameters. So if you remember, the function is z is equal to x squared minus y squared. So I have to pass in a value for x, and I have to pass in a value for y. And those values can be real. They can have decimal parts. Now when I work out z, that can also have decimal parts, so I'll define that, the return type of this function, as a double. So we'll pass in x and y. It will carry out the calculation we're about to put in, and it will return a value which is a double. So then the important thing here is then I'll write saddle function. So the variable used for the result has to have the same name as the name that you give to the function. So I say this is x squared minus y squared, like so. And that's basically it. I can just indent it, like so. Like so. So it's very simple. We pass in x and y, we plug whatever values we pass in get used in this equation here, and the result of that calculation is assigned back out as the saddle function, which is a type double. Let's see how we use it. We come in here and we type equal to saddle function, and I pass in the value of x, so my x is up here, and I pass in the value of y, which is over here, and I press enter. Now also what I then do is I can copy it across. Now there's a problem here, because you'll see it when I go to write it, that as we pass to bring these across, this referred, if I click on it, you can see B1 is the value of x and A2 is the value of y. Now when I copy it across here and I click in, you can see that it's pointed to the 0 here and not the value of y, which is what I need. So what I'm going to do in that case is, what we have to do is I'll delete this one, which is wrong. And what we have to do is we have to fix the row here, so that when we copy it down it will still point back up to row number 1. So we do that by pressing the F4 button. You press it once, it fixes both the row and the column. So it makes that reference what's known as an absolute reference. You click it twice, it fixes the row. You click it 3 times, it fixes the column, and 4 times clears it. So we want to fix the row in that case. And this one, when we copy this across, we want the column to be fixed, because the column holds all the values for y. So in this case we're going to fix the column, which is column A, by putting the $ in front of it, and we do that by pressing F4 3 times. Now I've written the formula in. When I copy it across, you can see that the value of the x has changed to minus 2, but we're still looking over here for A2 at the value of minus 4 for y. You can see it here, it's pointing up to the value of 0 for x, but still you're looking at minus 4 for the value of y. Then what we can also do is copy these down. And then what we can do is, to make this work properly, make sure this one up here is empty. That's why I haven't put any labels into it. What I'm going to then do is select these. So we have the values of x across the top, the values of y here, and the values of z in the middle here. So I'll just actually maybe put a little colour on that, small little fill, that these are the values of z, these are the values of x, and these are the values of y, like so, just to distinguish. Then when I go to plot them, come insert other charts, and this one here is, I pick this surface 3D chart, and you can see it here that it plots this as a 3D chart. Now also what I'll do is, you can't really see the saddle effect yet, but if I right click this and do 3D rotation, you can see I can rotate it around the x-axis, or the other direction, sorry, and also around the y-axis, which kind of lets us see, yeah, that's a bit better now. If I look at that view of it, you can see it's definitely the shape of a saddle, and as I move it around, and that's how it actually gets its name, moving around the x and the y-axis. So I'll just leave it fixed there. Perspective you can change as well, although it kind of flattens it out a bit, and I can leave it like that. Okay, thank you very much for listening.